right, welcome back to The Big Picture. Joining us right now, we have Beth and Brian, the owners of Royal Flamingo in Grandview. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having us. Yeah,
absolutely. You guys are small business owners. Just give me the lowdown. Where is your coffee shop and why is it so special?
Yeah, we are right down the street. We're at 945 King Avenue here in Grandview. We're inside Natalie's, and then inside I Like It Like That cocktail bar, and then that's where our shop coexists in that total ecosystem.
It's kind of fun to go in there. It's like a little maze.
Absolutely.
What inspired you to open up this business? What year did you open it?
So, we started the roastery. So we roast our own coffee. Mm-hmm. So you've been roasting what, since like 2018? Mm-hmm. But then we opened the business in 2021.
Yeah, and then from there we went to e-commerce. We did the farmers market junkets, so we were all over the place doing that. And then I used to roast in the same building, which is where the coffee shop is. And I met Chef, had a quick conversation with them, and she's like, "Why are we not serving your coffee?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's get it in there." So we started serving them and providing them coffee. And then I remember Beth and I were having a drink at the bar for one of their happening hour shows. And Natalie was asking me all these questions about an espresso machine. I was like, "Wait, what are you trying to do here?" And then she was like, "I want to do like a cocktail bar with like fresh espresso." I'm like, let us just open up a cafe inside the bar. Let's make this easy. And then after that, it was just done. It was so quick and fast.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Passion for coffee come from? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, who is the driving force behind it?
Oh man.
I think it's a mix.
Yeah.
It's a
Go
mix. So I used to work for the Dispatch. So I used to run like the Crave magazine back when that existed. So I would drag him like everywhere, I think, to eat food and then drink coffee. I think the third wave like coffee scene was really up and coming, and we would go to all these events, and then we started traveling, and then we would seek out coffee shops, and it sort of just, I don't know, snowballed from there.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't know coffee could taste like coffee does. And I think that's something we see a lot in the shop is like, wow, I don't need to add any sort of like creamer or sugar to this. This has actually got real flavor. And part of my previous job before I jokingly retired on December 1st was I would go and take customers or different people I wanted to network with to independent coffee shops. And that's where I really started to talk to the baristas, talk to the cafe owners, and it just was like, I wonder if we can do this. Mm-hmm. And then bought a sample roaster from there, and then it just, spun out of control.
Yeah. What was it like opening up your business kind of in the middle of COVID? Or was it post-COVID?
So when we opened in 21, it was actually probably a blessing. I hate that, doesn't get said a lot, but we were strictly doing e-commerce, farmers markets, things like that. So we were shipping out a lot. We didn't have the brick and mortar open at that time yet. So it was really, I don't know, I guess it got our feet underneath us a little bit and kind of learned a little bit about the business.
Gave us a chance to kind of ease in.
Yeah, before we really
wanted to do.
Open the doors at the actual like brick and mortar shop.
Yeah, because we were debating whether or not should we just be a roastery and just sell coffee and wholesale it. And then being at the farmer's market and having that chance to interact with customers. And I'll say our big thing there was everything that you could buy, you could sample. So our favorite thing was just to like take people on the journey of like, try all these coffees. Let's show you what specialty coffee really is. And it would spark a conversation. And we're like, okay, this is really fun. Like, and to have those interactions on a daily basis, we're like, we should open a shop.
I think in society, a lot of us, maybe this is just me speaking, I've just settled for bad coffee. That tastes bitter.
Sure. It's not your parents' coffee that comes from the blue and red can.
Yes.
But it's always good to palate reset. It's always good to reset your palate on that.
So walk us through the menu, because the menu is really unique.
Yeah. So there's two things, and Beth has kind of mentioned, like we are specialty coffee roasters. So we have daily greats and super funds, and specialty means like pretty much 84, 85 points in terms of like almost like a wine spectator. They do that for coffee as well. So that's based upon like the quality of the coffee and the care of it and what people in the coffee industry will measure and prepare it or score it at. But we have a daily great, which is going to be your everyday, nothing too crazy on the fermentation process, a really clean cup of coffee, something that you're like, yep, give me a good cup of coffee, let's go for today. And then you have super funds, and that's where it gets really fun and weird, and that's what really gets me excited. Kind of always is searching and finding what's new. So that's going to be rare varietals, micro lots, super interesting stories, or just like a really funky fermentation project. Like right now we're serving on pour over a carbonic maceration, red honey process, ahi bourbon varietal, and it is like black pepper, rosemary in a tropical garden. It's wild, really cool. It's stunning. You have to try it to explain it. And it's that's just kind of a little bit of an example of that.
Yeah, that sounds
So
really
is there a lot of
interesting.
trial and error that goes into coming up with different blends and flavor profiles?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of what we do on a daily basis is we cup. That's the process of going through a quality tasting process and kind of analyzing the flavor notes. My wife has got a stunning palate. I think one of the best that I know. And, we just try and figure out, and you learn through just, like you said, trial and error. We know we've tasted really terrible cups of coffee and we've tasted really beautiful cups of coffee. But we want to, hopefully provide something for everybody. Even though we can't be everything to everybody, we want to at least give them a chance to, if they want a chocolate or nutty forward coffee, we're going to hopefully have that. If you want to have a fruit bomb, we're going to put that in front of you.
Yeah, and I think our hope too is that we know that, and a lot of people can be intimidated by coffee. I think we're all used to the bad coffee, or you're used to it being served to you in a very specific way. And that's kind of what we wanted to do at the shop. We say we're like serious coffee for unserious people. We want to do these really beautiful coffees that have really cool fermentation methods. We can get really nerdy if you want to, but you don't have to be intimidated when you come in, right? That we're just going to have a conversation. However you want to enjoy your coffee, please enjoy your coffee that way at our shop. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, we want to give you the opportunity to do that. And that I think was really important for like the menu and how we organized it. For just
I think I
people
had a
deeper in.
mole one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's in that?
That's all about
that
right
was
there.
yummy.
Yeah, so that was sort of inspired by like a black mole. So chocolate mole. We did 5 different spices and created like a panela simple syrup. And then we, on top of that, did 5 different chilies and kind of added that in. So it would have a little bit of heat, but also some chili depth. So we wanted to replicate the flavors of like a mole, like all the complicated kind of notes, all those deep notes into a coffee.
So in 2025, you guys got runner-up for US Today's best independent coffee shop in the entire country. That is a huge deal.
It's pretty amazing.
What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I'm getting like goosebumps right now hearing it again.
In the entire country.
Yeah, it was a absolute honor to get nominated. And then I'll like give all the credit to, our customers, our community. Like they showed up.
Because they had to vote.
They had to
for
vote.
Us, is how that works. So there's like a long list, I think, of like 20 different shops. And then it's kind of on you to activate your audience and get those votes. So I think that makes it even more special because we know that it's like our customers who voted every day for, I think, a month maybe to get us and to that number 2 space.
Yeah, it was pretty special.
I didn't realize that Columbus had such like a big coffee scene.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, I mean, game is up. It's up there. So it's, I was just looking at, I think another shop just opened up an idea foundry that I just found out today about.
I mean, they're great roasters. They're great shops. It's really fun to kind of see coffee kind of blooming in the city.
Because there are, I've noticed there are a lot of roasters in the city. So it's like each one of you has to come up with something different.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be. It's interesting on the competitive advantage. Like where's that going to be? And I think with us is how we source our coffee and how we prepare the menu, and my wife's got that lockdown. With creating beautiful drinks based around our coffees.
All around coffee. I think that's the thing. When we look at creating a seasonal menu, we start with, okay, well, what coffees are we serving, and what are the notes in those coffees, and how can we be inspired by the actual coffee to create drinks around them?
Yeah.
And when it comes to sourcing coffee prices have skyrocketed this year. What kind of challenges has that posed in order to keep the business viable?
Yeah, no, great question. So they call it the C market, and that's how they bridge the specialty coffee market, right? Historical highs across the board last year. It's gone down like a sliver so far. And also, unfortunately, throw tariffs on top of that because we can't grow coffee in the United States. So give you an example, Brazil was tariffed 50% last year. I was fortunate enough to buy in bulk, so it put me in a little bit of a burden on capital because I had to buy a lot of coffee up front to hopefully surpass the the problems that we have with tariffs. But it's an ongoing challenge. I mean, it's from coffees that I was buying, I would be in the mid $4 in a green pound. Now I haven't seen really anything sub $6, for how we source. And it's a little bit of a sticker shock, but we've tried to gradually increase our price a little bit, but it's also a challenge because I want everybody to enjoy our coffee, and that's kind of just a principle that we stand by. It's could we charge a little bit more? Sure. Do we want to? No. Yeah. Like we want everybody to have that experience of our coffee.
And when you said you source in bulk from Brazil, for example, do you work directly with the farmers there?
Not with Brazil. I have a partner that I work with. So there's wholesalers that we purchase from. They'll have the connections to get us to the farms. But that's also been a gateway to us. Last year, we were fortunate enough to go both to Guatemala and Colombia. And we were able to visit, was it 4 or 5 different farms in Colombia, and got to go on site. I got to cup. Shout out to Edwin Arena, who that's who we had won Best Espresso in North America in 2023 with his coffee called Red Fruits. And so that's how we've been able to make a direct connection and then buy directly from the farmers. However, it's a logistical challenge when you have to go through importing tariffs, and then how do you get it from the farm to port, and then from port through customs. So usually it gets handed off to a local partner, like who we work with down, they have the direct contact with the farmers, and then that's how we get those coffees.
And of the handful of countries in the coffee belt that are able to grow coffee, I mean, Hawaii can produce a little bit, but not a lot. Is there a favorite flavor profile? Is there, do you have a favorite over, Argentinian coffee or Ethiopian? Like, is there a...
Yeah, I'll answer, then I'll let Beth answer. So for me, in terms of the curiosity part of me, I think Colombia is doing some really interesting things. They have very high quality coffee. They do sell it outside of their country. Something like Ecuador, they drink all that specialty coffee, so it's really hard to get that, and I'm still looking for it, so if anybody can find me a contact there. But for me, Colombia, for sure. I gravitate towards something that's either herbaceous or things that are like really interesting and fruity. So those are my notes that I'm pretty passionate about. But what about you, Beth?
I think I'd say Colombia too, but part of that is just, it's because specialty coffee is becoming such a bigger thing there. They're really making that switch from conventional to like really cool fermentation methods and processing methods, and they're pushing the boundaries. I think a lot of the coffee industry is looking at what they're doing there and kind of adapting their processes and bringing them home. So Colombia, we always tend to have a little bit more Colombian coffee, I think, on the menu for that reason, that they're just doing, the farmers we work with are doing such an amazing job, and they have such cool stories to tell. So I think Colombia too.
Is there a best season to get your beans, or like when are those harvested? I'm just curious.
Man, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but that's a great question.
It does.
It varies by origin.
Yeah.
So right now we were able to purchase like Peru, just harvested. It was on float. It landed. So we just dropped a new Peru coffee at our shop. Yep. Same with Kenya. We are sourcing our Uganda that we usually get every year. So this is our 5th straight year buying from Mountain Harvest. That'll come usually towards like October, but we have to source it now because it's like farming, getting picked, and then people are tasting it, and then they decide how to process it. So, as of right now, there's a lot of interesting.
It changes. I mean, it is seasonal.
It changes.
I appreciate the question because
it's
it's a crop, right? We're not going to have everything all year round. But Colombia is interesting because they have 2 harvest seasons, so they're pretty unique. So it depends on the origin, and then how quickly we can buy the coffee.
And it's super fun to taste, like, what does one coffee taste like last year, and what's it going to be like this year? Is it going to be more fruity? Is it going to be more herbaceous? Like, it's just always, hopefully consistent.
I know for wine, there's sommeliers, obviously. For coffee, what is it? It's not barista.
No, I mean, they're licensed Q graders.
Yep.
Q graders.
So licensed Q graders. So
Very cool.
we're hopefully going through that challenge this year to get certified.
Ooh, what is that
with
like?
It.
It's
It's intense. Yeah. And I hate, I don't love science. And it's like my worst nightmare. It's like,
and
I have to know science. So, she loves science. So I can usually, our yin and yang is like, I can lean on her for that stuff.
Yeah.
This is solo. Like, I got to figure it out. So it's a whole thing about knowing like defects, blind tastings, understanding how to explain the story from origin to where it's at today. And it's been modified. So it's a little controversial in terms of where it's at now with the certification. But I think it's more about the storytelling versus like, oh, this has got a certain sort of acid defect or something like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a big thing in the coffee world to bring that certification to make it easier for everyone in the supply chain to have access to it. Because historically, the only folks who've really had access are the people at the end of the supply chain. So now they're trying to format it in a way where it can be easier for producers to have access to all of this training so that we're all using, I think, a certain like common language. I think that's been the big thing. Because what we get as tasting notes is going to be different than what someone in Ethiopia is going to get as tasting notes. So kind of understanding all of that. It's interesting to see. So I feel like some of the changes have been good.
Wow, that is so awesome. One more time, what are your hours? Where are you located?
Yeah, absolutely. We are 945 King Avenue. Inside Natalie's, inside I Like That bar. We're open right now Wednesdays through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have plenty of seating, which has now been expanded into the Natalie side. We got a super cool patio, and it's just a vibe and great cups of coffee. Spring menu just dropped, so come on in, ask some questions, and get some great coffee.
One more question. Why is it called Royal Flamingo?
Hard way to find a name of a company, right? It's so when you walk into our house, above our bar, there's a picture of a flamingo. I bought it at Happy Go Lucky. It's a flamingo wearing royal garb, wearing a crown. Okay. And our story is when you open up our bar, you're like, oh, you see that painting, and you're like, oh, they're not gonna take themselves too seriously. And you open up our bar, and they're like, whoa, what's gonna happen here? I'm gonna get a cocktail I've never tasted before. So it's kind of like the serious for unserious vibe. But then from there, to two nods, one Parma, Ohio, which is where I grew up. It used to be the largest producer of the pink lawn flamingos. So it's a little bit of a nod to that. And then a local artist, Adam Hernandez, who's done a lot of beautiful paintings and murals here in the city. He was able to make us a painting that replicates make us a logo that replicates our painting. And it's just bright, beautiful, and yeah, that's how Royal Flamingo started.
Happy, just like coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian,
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.